Hello all. Okay, in this video I'm going to take apart a Black & Decker circular saw or something. It's not actually a circular saw, it's like a reciprocating saw. I got it from someone that I know that knows that I do these videos, so I'm going to just disassemble it. It's finished, it's going to be getting thrown out. So as you know, I like to take these things apart and make a video of them. So I'll show you what it looks like first of all. This is it here. I've never had any dealings with this before, or you know, I don't use these things, but I was just given it to do a video. I don't know how many bits are missing. I was going to be getting chucked out, so they knew that I like opening things up to see what's inside them and make videos of them, so I was given this to disassemble and take apart and do a video of it. So it's be like a reciprocating saw or something. It's not like an angle grinder, but there's bits probably missing and everything, but there's one sure way of knowing what's inside it anyway, is to I'll get a better understanding of what's inside it is when I open it up to see what's inside, and then I could get a bulk of knowledge on them, because I've never had any dealings with these things before, so I'm just going to learn a bit more about them rather than just throw it in the skip. You know, I'd rather open it up first than just see what's going on inside. It doesn't work obviously, so like I say, I'll get the saw taken apart and I'll catalogue, take the footage, you know, photos and videos. I'll catalogue what's inside it and share it with you. And I could also build my knowledge as well about them, because I'm going to be seeing the parts that go into it. It'll make me think more, get more ideas as to, you know, how these things work. It's really what the video is about. Now, like I say, don't quote me on anything. This, if I just give you my understanding of how it works, that's all it is. I'm not an electrician or a technician, qualified technician or anything like that. I just do it for my own knowledge, and the video is only for entertainment purposes only. So, right, so let's get the toolbox out and let's start taking it apart. So the first thing I need to do is identify what's holding it together. It looks like it's Phillips screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and I think seemingly that's all that's holding it together. 6 Phillips screws. So I shall go and dig that out the toolbox and we'll get this opened up. So I've got myself a Phillips screwdriver, and I'm just going to simply unscrew these screws just like that, and what I'll do is I'll actually go around them first and slacken them all. So I'm filling them with one hand and using the screwdriver with the other, which isn't really that easy, but you get the idea. I'm just going to go around there with the screwdriver, take all these screws out, and it should just open up. So they're quite long screws, so I've got one of them out just now. They're just screwing basically into plastic, so they're going to be fairly strong. So I've got the last the screws out. That's 6 of them out. So now we'll just have to see now how this comes apart. I might have to put the phone down for this so I could pry it open slightly. So like I said, I'm not a technician, I haven't worked on these things before, so I'm just making it up as I go along. But sort of like it's prying apart here, but I get the feeling I might have to remove this bit, this rubber part. I'll probably pry that off with a flat screwdriver. Now, as I say, this is getting scrapped anyway, so it doesn't matter if I break it open. But I'm going to get a wee flat screwdriver and remove this. It's like a hand grip. So when you're using this thing, it's basically gives you more of a firm grip when you're using this saw, which is obviously dangerous. So you've got to be very you could have a firm grip of it, so I've added this rubber just to give you a good firm strong grip, because you don't want this sliding about all over the place when you're operating it, because it's, you know, cut your leg off or cut your hand off, you know. You've got to be really carefully operated, so they've thought it out well. They've added this extra grip there so you've got a good firm grip of it. So I think I'm going to have to remove this by prying it off with a flat screwdriver. I'll try that. So like I say, I'm not a technician or anything like that. I just make this up as I go along, and I just figured it out myself and how to do it. So don't quote me, there probably is procedures and proper procedures to open it, but I don't have the instructions, and frankly I don't really care because it's getting scrapped anyway, so I'll do whatever means necessary to get into it, even if that involves breaking things open. I shall go ahead and do that because it's going to end up in the skip anyway, so I just want to see what's inside it and share it with you as well. So I've got the flat screwdriver and I did pry it open slightly, and it does seem to come out quite promisingly. There's these clips there that just sort of clip push fit into there, which kind of makes it more promising to get this thing open. In fact, there it goes, there it is. It's opened just like that. So that's what it required to get it open, and that's your switching mechanism. So what I'll do is I'm going to take a picture of it now without, I mean obviously the saw blade's missing, that's obvious, because it would have been inside here or in there, but it's not. So I'm going to take a photograph of this before I start taking it to pieces. So I've taken a few pictures before I start taking this apart, just to show you what it looked like before. So this is familiar. This is reminding me of the washing machine motor. So this is the main mover, the motor. Now it's magnetic, although I think that's the stator wire coil. That's the armature. Yeah, there we go, look. So that's the carbon brushes. It looks as though the brushes are actually really worn. So there's still carbon there, but they're pretty well worn down. That's what supplies the armature coil with electricity. So basically the rotor is the armature. The armature coil goes around the rotor, that's the bit that turns. So you might see that. So the carbon brushes rub against this commutator, I think it's called, and that's what supplies the electricity to the coil, the armature or rotor coil, which is down there. This is the stator wires, the stator coil, hence the name. It doesn't move, it stays stationary. So the motor works on electromagnetic principle. It just basically, like two magnets repel, so a coil of wire with electricity in it is an electromagnet. So you have it out of phase with the other one. It basically repels if you set it up correctly. So it's orientated in a way in the motor. So when it's repelling, it's actually causing the rotor to rotate as it's the electromagnetic principle of it repelling. It's the basics of a motor, how it works. Now it goes through a set of gears, like a gearbox. You can maybe see that here as well. That'll be a reduction gear, I presume. That will also cause the circular, not the circular, but the reciprocating action of the saw. Now you can see that as I turn it with my hand manually. There's no power going this, by the way. You'd never do this with power in, you'd always remove the plug. So it's safe to do this. There's no capacitors to my knowledge in here. You've got to be careful with capacitors, they store charge. But you can actually see how the gearing works. So as this motor's turning, it's like a cam or something, an eccentric cam or an elongated cam down there, you might see it, which causes the saw to saw back and forward. So the blade would go on the end of this bit here, which should come out of here, but the blade's missing. I haven't got the blade, that never came with it, but I hope you saw, I hope that demonstrates. So it can't work by doing it this way, it can only work through the gearbox. So you can't pull this or push this in by hand. It's got to be done, it's got to be through the gearbox in order for it to work. It sort of reminds me of the windscreen wipers on a car. It's in the off-centric cam lobe down there. You might see that happening as there's all sorts of terms I can't remember now. When I was doing technical drawing at school, there was a term for it. The geometry of it, how it's obviously it goes much quicker than that when there's power to it, but you get the idea, I hope. So there'll be grease and all sorts of stuff in there as well, keep it lubricated. So you can see the motor as well, the armature in there, but it's turning with a coil of wire. You got the stator coils, as I say, the electromagnetics, they cause them to repel if it's the same pole, south and north. Two norths and two souths will repel each other on a magnet. North and south will attract. Well, similarly with an electric coil, put electricity through a coil of wire, you get an electromagnetic field. So it's set up in a way so that the attraction and repelling of the electromagnetic force is set up in a way so that the motor rotor turns. Hence the gears will turn on the end of the shaft, the motor shaft, which will drive this gearbox. So it'll be the number of teeth will be the ratio of the reduction, because the motor might spin a lot quicker and it'll be reduced. They'll reduce the speed using gears, which will automatically, proportionately increase the torque, because power remains the same. And the way it's set up here will allow this reciprocating action of the saw blade, well, where the saw blade would connect to. So as you can see it going back and forth as I turn it manually. So I'm just simply doing that, but the electricity would be going in there energising it, and also the electricity would be going in the coils to give you the electromagnetic field. So it comes in, the power comes in through the mains, and it's I don't know the actual specifications of this, the power ratings. It'll be somewhere probably written on here or something. I don't know. I'd have to. I think the saw blades would have been stored somewhere about there. I've never used one of these things before. It's a power saw basically. But it'll fix onto there somewhere. So you've obviously got your power switch here. So when you're using it, you're operating it here. It'll be a setting, I think. Probably a fast and slow speed or something. But you might be able to just see what's going on here. Oh well, I went flying, wherever that went. So if I remove this, it's like a part of the switch mechanism. There's the electrical side of things. There'll be a wee capacitor there. It's a pressure capacitor, prevent arcing, interference with other electrical appliances, because it'll send an arc, it'll send like a surge down the mains into the socket, right into the electricals of the house. I think this capacitor kind of suppresses it, prevents surges, power surges, which upsets other things around the house. It's my understanding of it. Like I say, don't quote me, I'm not an electrician. My dad's away out enjoying this nice weather, so he won't be back for much later, so I'm just having to guess myself. My dad is an electrical engineer, and he's out enjoying this lovely weather. Whereas I, seeing it's my day off today, having a wee break from driving, I'm going to open up the saw instead and make a video of it. Out the backs and get the fresh air and learn a few things at the same time. So it looks as though that's the main motor bearing, the rotor bearing. You might just see that turning as I... And you've got pinion gear, which is smaller than this gear, which means I think it would be an induction gear. So the motor will spin so many times, maybe X number of times, and you'll get Y number of times out of this. So that'll spin more times. So the number of turns, let's just say for example, right, that'll spin 10 times and you'll get 1 turn out of that. It's a 10 to 1 ratio. So you get 10 times the torque. It'll be 10 times slower, but you get 10 times the turning force out of it. Because the motor will spin 10 times faster, putting 10 times worth of effort into 1 turn of this gear. So you get a lot of energy behind it, but it'll be slower, but it'll be stronger. And because it's strong enough, it'll be useful for cutting through whatever the saw is going to be cutting through. So the motor is just putting all that effort, all these turns, into, so you're getting so many revolutions out of here, and you're getting less revolutions out of this gear. Because the small pinion gear there is, you count the number of teeth, you can work the ratio out, but no doing that. That's going to be turning so many times more to get 1 turn out of this. But the energy is the same, so you're just getting more force, more turning force, which is torque. The torque is turning force. So now that I've looked at that, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to perhaps remove the motor. Looks like it just pulls out. Although you've got some connectors. What I might actually do is remove the gearing. There's a Phillips screw there and a Phillips screw there. I'm going to remove them and see what happens. Whole thing will fall apart, no doubt, but that's not a problem. So I'm quite happy with that. I didn't really expect to see how that would work, and I got a good clear view of what's going on when I'm turning the motor. I hope you did as well, and I hope you enjoy it. It's an entertaining video. Like I say, don't quote me on the exact technical stuff, but Dad would be able to give you the exact, or much clearer understanding, but he's not here at the moment. It's my video, so it's really up to me to do it. I'm just giving you my understanding of how it works, but I was quite satisfied seeing that. So I'm just going to start tearing into the guts now. I'm going to remove the gears and remove the motor and just have a closer look at the parts as they're removed out of the unit. So we're going to remove all this out of this unit by, first of all, Phillips screwdriver, and then slacking off this screw. Now I'm going to put the phone down for this because I've only got 1 pair of hands and I need both of them for this. One to hold the unit while I'm unscrewing it, and then I'll show you once it's off. So I'll just simply use the screwdriver and screw it. Pull these screws out now. They are quite long, sturdy. There's this green grease-like stuff which is there obviously to lubricate all the gears. So I don't particularly want to get all of my fingers, but I might have no option really. So I've removed the 2 screws, one there and one there. I'm going to put the phone down a minute and just figure out what's going on. So it actually looks as though it comes out as a unit. The problem is, oh right, no I didn't expect that. The whole armature comes out of the stator coil. So I'm doing it with one hand. This is actually happening in real time. And there you go. Just like that. And now I've got all that green stuff on my fingers. How nice. How nice surprising, mind you. Okay, so we have the... See, it's not going to... Oh, right, so it comes out like that. I'm going to put this phone down a minute. So, what's happening now is the wee pinion gear on the end of the motor shaft, which you might be able to see down there. That obviously needs to come off in order to get the whole thing out, but it won't. I don't have a means of getting it out. So that's really as far as it goes. It's like a sort of starter motor that kind of engages into that at the moment. So I don't know if you can see that, but that slides in and out. It's not meant to, but I think that's what's happening anyway. That's why it's not turning. It needs to be engaged with that gear, which isn't really showing you much at the moment. Right, so I've got the thing engaged again. So you can see it operating as I turn the armature. when it's come off, now it's disengaged because it keeps, there's nothing to hold it in position, it's out of the unit. So when it's located in there, it's all located properly, so it's in situ, but it's free sliding at the moment, so that's why the gear pinion's coming off engagement of that. The ring gear there, which is turning this sort of cam shaft sort of thing, off-centred cam lobe, that's what's responsible for the backwards and forwards motion of the saw, where the blade would go on the end of it. So, absolutely filthy. So the next thing is your stator coil. So there's the plates, the core of the motor, and you've got your stator coils, stator windings. They're electrically connected to the unit of the casing. These are brushes that are spring loaded. So as a wear, as the wear out, the spring pushes them against and keeps making contact until it completely wears down, but there's still wear left in it. You can see that's pushing against the spring, so as it wears, the spring compensates for the wear. So the carbon brushes are always against the commutator here to supply the rotor coil, or the armature coil of the motor. Now I do feel magnetic. Maybe the screwdriver. Yeah, it might be the screwdriver. It's not a permanent magnet motor, so that was just, yeah, it's definitely the screwdriver's feeling magnetic force, because I felt magnetic force and I was thinking that there might be a magnet in the motor, but there isn't. It's just that the screwdriver's magnetic. So that's about the heart of it. That's about the sums of it, really. You've got your electrical connectors. What's your switch? There's not really much to. It's just a spring. Pushes down on contacts. I'm not really see that quite as bother. You could move these screws, I suppose, and see what's inside the switch if you want. You can see all the gearing. And I could take the screws out, and the whole thing will fall apart. I could do that as well later. I suppose I could do the switch and then maybe take that apart. For the switch, it's a very small Phillips screwdriver that I need to remove that silver screw and that silver screw. There's two of them. And I'll go in there, have a look inside the switch. Got myself a wee screwdriver, wee Phillips, and I'm just going to remove them. It actually turns out that these screws are just connector screws for the wires. It's got Loctite on it as well, but yeah, that's all that was. It's just to hold the wires in, because they basically fit into the switch. I don't think the switch is serviceable. In other words, I don't think it's designed to come apart. If it's broken, then it's needing to be replaced. But I'm going to break into it anyway to see what's inside. I'm going to get a set of snips and get these wires off, and then I'm going to break into the switch. So I'm just going to snip the wires off for now, because some of them are internally into the switch, and there's some of them that are held in with these screws, so they don't really they're just for holding wires in. So the switch, as I say, I don't think that's serviceable, but I'm going to just burst into it with I'll break into it somehow, see what's inside it. What I've done is I just pulled really hard up on the switch until this bit came off that you press, and a bit went flying away over here. The spring went flying over there. That's what you're pressing against, and there's another one in there. So it's just an electrical contactor, really, not really that exciting. I'll break into more, I'll get the hammer out and chisel it with a flat screwdriver. So I feel a little bit adventurous. I'm going to break into the switch and see what's inside it. I've got my friend here, and that'll help get inside it. So unfortunately it's a little bit mullered. It's smashed beyond recognition, really. I'm not really able to identify much but there's wee contacts in there, and when this press bit, this white bit is basically pressed, it causes contacts to make, slides contacts with other contacts to complete the circuit for the switch to work. There might be even a wee sort of resistor or something in there to vary the speed, I don't know, but it wasn't very easy to get in it, unfortunately. There's not really a lot more that I could show you in there, really, to be fair. That's about it. I'll maybe peel back some of that. So there's not really an awful lot to show you, other than it's just small contacts. The mechanism doesn't work anymore, it's all battered in, but I just needed to, there wasn't really an easy way to get into it, because as I say, I think they're non-serviceable, meaning they're not designed to be opened. Once they're broken, they're destined for the bin, and you need to replace it. Unless you're highly skilled and have probably plastic welding, I don't know. But I don't have the tools nor the technique on how to do that, so I just done what's necessary to at least see a wee bit of the inside. And I hope I give you a bit of an idea what's inside it anyway. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the gearbox apart. I'm going to remove the four Phillips screws, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and I'll get into the gears. Actually, I've just given up with it. There's a lot of grease and everything. These things are torqued right down. They're torqued in, and screwdrivers are slipping in that grease. It's just too much hassle. I'm not going to bother with it. There's not much to see anyway. You can see just about everything. All it would mean is the parts would just be free to come off, but I know it's not worth it. So I've seen all there is to see as far as the gearbox is concerned. I'm just not going to bother removing these screws. They're on too tight. It's too much of a pussy. You need a vice and everything to hold this steady, because I'm not pushing against it and having the screwdriver slip into my arm. I need a vice and properly do it, torque them up, or detorque them rather. I can't do it with the tools and the facilities I've got at the moment. Just simply not going to bother removing these four screws. It's pointless, really. There's not really any point. You can see everything anyway, so that's it. As far as I'm concerned, that's it. There's not really much more to see. That's just, as I say, that's the heart of the whole thing, really. The motor and the gearbox, and the saw blades, which aren't here, and this guard as well, which is, I haven't used these things, so I've never used one of them. But I can't remember. Maybe if I have used one, it would be a very long time ago, but not recently anyway. Probably used one at one point in my life, but maybe when I was at Tayside Training Services, perhaps back in 1992. Might use something similar then, but I would have only been 17 back then. I wouldn't have long left the school in 1992. But I left the school in 92 and went to Tayside Training Services in 92, 93. So that's over 30 years ago. I mean, I can't remember if I'd used it for any other, if indeed I'd used it then, but anyway, I'm going to get some pictures of the parts. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to get all the parts put into a nice neat order. If you've seen these videos before that I do when I take things apart out the backs from my basting table, you'll know that I do a similar format. Towards the end I'll put all the parts in a reasonable order and try and summarise and take still photos of it before I round off the video. So I've tidied it up slightly. That looks like there's a ball bearing race, by the way. It came off the end of the rotor. Going there. The needle bearings. And that would have sat in there, which would support the end of the armature rather. So it's a ball race, ball bearings. I guess this is where the saw blade would go in. I say I've never operated them, so I don't know where everything goes as far as that's concerned. I've never used it. I was just given it to take apart. So, got your main armature there for the motor, for the gearbox. That's in a sort of cast aluminium or possibly stainless steel casing. So you've got the, where was it now? Yeah, I think that's a cast aluminium, or stainless steel, is it? It's ferrous, no, it can't be aluminium, I'm not sure, but anyway, think the gears will be hardened steel. I'll get my hands covered. But so that's the heart of it there. That'll be the saw blade adapter. That's a plastic switch mechanism, maybe for your slow and fast speed. It's all one piece, that might tell you in here. It doesn't. Might be reverse, different action, maybe, I don't know. Then you've got your power switch here, what's left of it, which would have went in there, press down on it, which will make the electrical contacts work to operate the motor. It's a rubber grip, the handle grip. That's your stator windings for the motor. There's a number on that, so maybe get a picture of that. I just noticed it there, etched onto the laminates, the plating, the core of the motor. It's insulation paper. So I don't know if it's phase, 3-phase or what. It's something like a washing machine motor and AC induction maybe, I don't know. My dad would be able to answer that, but that's your main input flex. Plug that in the wall, wires come in here, and I think that suppressor capacitor there was to dampen out any surges, power surges, which will prevent any interference from the rest of the house. I'm going to have a photograph of that. That's your main casing of the saw unit. That's the other half, the cover that comes off, held in with 6 of these Phillips screws. And I think that's more or less it. There's not much more to it than that, and of course the casing that it comes with when you buy it. It would store the blades as well, and spare blades and whatnot. I don't know what it cost, I never bought it. Probably quite expensive when it was bought new. You know, Black & Decker are usually, I think they're a well-known, respectable make. Got a good make. I remember the adverts back in the 80s and 90s, and Black & Decker. Oh, there's a wattage. So it's a 400 watts. 400 watt motor, I presume. So it's a lot of power. 746 watts is 1 horsepower, so that puts it in perspective. So it's a powerful motor, 400 watts. It's not it's over half a 2/3 of a horsepower for something you hold in your hand. All that energy in a small concentrated device, and it goes through the gearing as well, which increases the force, reduces the speed of the motor in proportion to the increase in force that they got turning torque force here, which will put a lot of force on the saw. So it'll be quite a powerful machine. So I think that's it. I can't really think of anything else. That's what I'm doing just now anyway. So that's it. I can't really think of anything else to do. I'm not familiar with these things anyway, so I couldn't really give you much more of my knowledge on them, because I don't have an awful lot of knowledge on these saws. I don't have much dealings with them. I'm not a joiner, so I've had a look inside. So I'm just now going to tidy all this stuff up and dispose of it responsibly, and I'll get this video compiled up and share it with you. I hope you found it interesting and enjoyed it. Okay, right, I'm going to have to get going. Right, see you later. See what else put on my channel. I'll see you later. Bye for now.